pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change. Building back better means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs. Canada is here to listen and to help.
Here's something far more telling. A video was released by the World Economic Forum, since deleted, interestingly, based on the notion of imagining life in 2030. It's a short video with a number of taglines. The first tagline that appears on the screen, and indeed the thumbnail of the video, was, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy." Now here's a question. Who exactly is you? Who's owning nothing? I'll tell you this, it isn't Klaus. I'll tell you this, it's not the World Economic Forum. I'll tell you this, it's not the big businesses and big governments that are involved in the World Economic Forum. Oh no, but it's you. It's the little guy. You own nothing because someone is going to own something. That is pure communism, with an elite ruling class that oversees all things, and the little guy owns nothing and is meant to be happy. Doesn't work that way in practice. Great idea. The next line is, whatever you want, you will rent. And it makes my point. Who are you renting it from? Who are you paying? I thought we all own nothing. Someone owns the things. Someone made the things. Someone replaces the things. Someone is responsible for the things. It's just not you. It continues. The US won't be the world's leading superpower. In other words, and it goes on to say, it will be a coalition of nations. So it will be a multinational government. That's what will dominate. Right. As if that could possibly go wrong. And again, if America's not the superpower, I mean, what, do we want China to be the superpower? Do we think that'll go well?
When I wrote the book, I started to write it for years ago. It was published 3 years ago. It was sold, very interesting, over 1 million times in the world. And what is interesting is that 800,000 copies, more than 800,000 copies of those 2 million were sold in 3 countries alone: China, Japan, and South Korea.
It says you'll eat much less meat, an occasional treat, not a staple. So in other words, someone is now telling me what I can eat. Someone's now telling people what kind of meat they can grow and how they can distribute it, and they're controlling food production, supply, and what you put into your mouth. Surprise. I guess if you don't own anything and you're dependent on the government who owns everything to rent stuff from, why not let them define what your diet is? It goes on, 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. We'll have to do a better job at welcoming and integrating refugees. Okay, the first part of that statement, false. 1 billion people will not be displaced by climate change. But even if climate change was happening of that nature, there's plenty of work been done to show that the best way to deal with it is technological advance, and actually have the technology to deal with it. People can live anywhere with the right technology. People can handle anything with the right technology. And it's technological advance that will do it. But no, they say instead we're going to have to welcome and integrate refugees. And what this is based on, effectively, and frankly, a lot of countries do a great job welcoming and integrating refugees. They just do it in a sustainable way. But of course, this is based on the idea that all cultures are a relativistic view of culture. that there's no culture that's better than another. There's no values that are better than others. You know, no country has gotten further ahead because of its values and its culture, which are good. And therefore, to dilute that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It is to, and you'll go on to see that they don't believe in Western values. And so that's really what they're after. They want the Western world to be overwhelmed by cultures from the developing world quickly so that they no longer exist. It says polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide. There will be a global price on carbon. Again, I say levied by whom? Who gets the carbon price? Well, not you, because you don't own anything. No, the carbon price will go to the people who own the stuff, and they'll get fatter and they'll get richer. And at whose expense will that be? Yours, who doesn't own anything, because that's what happens. The carbon price filters down to everything else. It increases the prices of everything. They actually say this: Western values will have been tested to the breaking point, which goes in with what Klaus was saying before about the fact that Western values, democracy, capitalism and all that are on the way out. They no longer work. What are Western values? Well, do you know, it's interesting. Western values, at the very least, are freedoms. Freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom to protest, that sort of thing. At least people agree on that. Well, finally, let me read quickly a couple of quotes from an article published by the World Economic Forum, How Life Could Change in My City by the Year 2030. This is hair-raising. It says, welcome to the year 2030. Welcome to my city, or should I say our city. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or clothes. It might seem odd to you, but it makes perfect sense for us in this city. Everything you considered a product has now become a service. We have access to transportation, accommodation, food, and all the things we need in our daily lives. One by one, all these things became free, so it ended up not making sense for us to own much. Now again, someone created that stuff. Someone has power over that stuff. Someone takes the rent for that stuff, as it said in the last list. Someone developed it. Someone repairs it. It's just that you don't own it. You don't own it. Someone's getting rich off it. Once in a while, now note this is how it closes. Once in a while, I get annoyed about the fact that I have no real privacy. Nowhere I can go and not be registered. I know that somewhere, everything I do, think, and dream of is recorded. I just hope that nobody will use it against me. I mean, that's just 1984 out in the open. It's not even hidden. So you're going to be tracked. Everything you think, everything you dream of, everywhere you go will be registered. You will be... So I wasn't wrong, was I, when I said, oh, it's just you that won't own it. It's just that you that pays all the money. It's just you that has your life controlled to the point of whether you can eat your meat or not. It's just you now that is tracked and watched and followed. This is pure communism.